This week in the news, Nvidia confirms AI filters for DLSS5, Sony tries to skewer the number of physical sales, Valve warns that the memory crisis will get worse, and more on Old Man Rages at the News. Before we get the show on the road, hit the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content. And we're starting off the week with AI, and specifically, Nvidia confirming that DLSS5 is an AI filter that developers can control. Well, we didn't really need them to confirm this, considering we could see with our own eyes, but at least they came out with it, so props to being honest, I suppose. Now, during the keynotes at SIGGRAPH 2026, Nvidia said it's just an AI algorithm that developers can control. And, to put it in layman's speak, it's a post-processing filter. Developers will have two sliders they can work with, a structural intensity and a tone intensity slider, with Nvidia pointing out that it's not changing geometry, it just uplifts the image. Alright, let's say we agree there, Nvidia. I'm not exactly in the mood to argue. Now, the structural integrity slider will, to quote them, will be modulating the frequency detail of the frame. And, in common speak, if you've gone into the settings on any normal game, you'd know this as ambient occlusion, subscattering, and reflections. Yeah, basically they're getting an AI to do ambient occlusion, subsurface scattering, and reflections. Yeah. Okay, not exactly encouraging on Nvidia's part, considering them not exactly being focused on consumers at the moment, but... And the tone intensity slider is modulating the low frequency, like lighting and overall tone. Boy, gotta love Nvidia, right? They're giving you so many things to play around with as a developer, and they only give you two sliders for them. And if that doesn't scream confidence in your tool, I don't know what does. And I'm pretty sure developers are gonna be thrilled that they move sliders instead of actually adjust the lighting, the ambient occlusion, reflections, and everything else that they work on to, to bring their vision to light. Jensen. And the whole industry for that matter. This whole AI shit has gone to your heads, for crying out loud. In other news, 7 PlayStation games managed to sell more than 100,000 physical copies in the US so far this year. Yeah, hold on to that number, because this thing gets better by the minute. First off, this information came from Matt Piscatella, Senior Director and Video Game Industry Advisor at Circana. God, that was a mouthful. He shared this information on his Blue Sky account on the 20th of July and also added that only 2 PlayStation games sold more than 10,000 physical units in the US during the week ending on the 11th of July 2026. Yeah, that wasn't the number I was expecting to hear when you consider how much physical media defenders there are in the US. Now, IGN rightfully pointed out this information is not only shockingly low, but it doesn't include other countries or continents, like, my neck of the woods, Europe, where, the CEO of the UK Digital Entertainment and Retail Association, ERA, for short, catchy, also shared on their website that 25% of users under 25 years old use discs for gaming and should still remain a choice for gamers. To quote, ERA consumers data shows that 25% of under 25 use discs for gaming, and the total disc-based games market was valued at over £300 million in 2025, demonstrating that there remains a substantial and committed audience for boxed games. Now, you got one side stating one number, while the other states another. One is like, yeah, I didn't expect that one out, did you? The other one actually paints a better picture. the whole situation, you know. And for better or worse, it comes from association in the UK. So yeah, regardless, at least we got numbers from another source painting a better picture of how big the physical media club is. But well, you know, we'll have to wait for the 2 lawsuits, see what's going on there. And yes, I said it, 2 lawsuits. Because, you know, another lawsuit hit the Sony towers. Too soon? Well, if it is, if it isn't, don't know, don't care. What I care about most is a Dutch consumer group is suing PlayStation, arguing the same thing the Mexican lawsuit argued. A monopoly. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit old, but I heard of it after the last episode aired, so, you know, I think I might as well cover it here, considering Sony's on the chopping block today. And again, this goes without saying, I ain't a lawyer, this ain't a legal advice or a legal breakdown, I'm just a mook with a mic that yells on the internet. Now, with that out of the way, the Dutch consumer organization Stitching Massage and Consument. What kind? Yeah, I had to do a double take here. And yes, that's their name. Oh, brother. You know what? CMNC for short. I ain't saying that mouthful of a name again. That's for sure. Anyways, CMNC believes it has a strong case, especially with the fact that there's a 30% tax rate that developers are subject to. The CMNC chair, Lucia Merchert's Germanic names, the bane of my existence. Lucia Merchels told WCCF Tech, and I quote, "Then the physical disc removes the last place where a PlayStation game could still be bought and sold at a competitive price. No discs mean no second-hand market and no alternative to the PlayStation Store from 2028. Sony alone decides what a game costs and even how long you are allowed to use it. This is exactly the harm our fair PlayStation claim is about. Price can never be fair when the buyer is left with no ownership and no alternative." Oh boy. And this next one is also a doozy. According to Moore's Law instead, Sony is using AI to defend its digital-only future by making social media profiles and spamming that social media with pro-digital statements. Yes, I can see it. Sony is most likely gonna do that, considering all the backlash they're facing with, you know, nuking discs. Now, Pirate Nation on X showed this as one of the proofs, and, well, yes, it does look like very similar, but that isn't the only thing we can go off on. Moore's Law is Dead made a video showing 3 receipts of 3 different cases. He showed, and I quote, 3 different case studies, his words, not mine, and explains his thought process on why he feels like they're bots. Now, for the people with common sense there, you know, don't harass the accounts. Now, for people that have short temper, don't harass the accounts. It's not gonna make things any better, because if it's a human, then it makes you look horrible, and if it's a bot, it's a waste of time. I'll link Moore's Law's video in the sources, so if you wanna check it out, go for it. The guy put quite a lot of work in that video by the looks of things, so might as well just have a look at it. And because this nightmare isn't over for Sony, the whole no physical copies of first-party games things resulted in even stricter ever social media guidelines on Sony staff. Now, this whole thing came from a former Santa Monica employee, Alana Pierce, where she posted a video talking about the whole physical media issue with Sony. In this video, she did also mention that currently Sony got more stricter with their guidelines on what they can talk and can't talk about. This is her full quote. If you want to read it, go ahead. A link to her video will be in the sources. And as a cherry on top, the PlayStation servers died for for hours this week. Now, for those who don't know, if PlayStation servers are offline, you can't play your digitally bought games or any online mode in any game whatsoever. Shit like this makes me so glad I use Steam. Because, well, yeah, if Steam dies, any matchmaking based on Steam goes with it. But I can still play single player games because, you know, offline mode exists for Steam. Now, on the bright side at least, if you want to call it a bright side, the outage was not on Sony's side. Apparently, it was on Amazon's, since Amazon Web Services mentioned multiple Amazon Web Service servers in US-West-2 region having connection issues. And subsequently, after the connection issues were resolved, the servers went online around 12 p.m. Pacific time. And people wonder why someone would want physical media. You know, when the entire backbone of your idea hinges on servers staying online, and you have multiple fail points, it's almost as if, you know, people want reassurance that they can access what they paid for. Oh, but no, Sony's gotta be idiots. And in other news, Valve warns that the memory crisis is getting worse. This came from Yazan Al-Hayat, another mouthful name. Great. Regardless, Yazan works as an engineer and told Bloomberg the situation is still getting worse. To quote him, honestly, it's still getting worse. Just in case people are not aware, what people are seeing on the retail shelves right now, from our observation, is lagging we are seeing from a bulk supply by at least 3 or 6 months. Holy shit. So what exactly is happening is 3 to 6 months delay for bulk shipping. And whoa, holy shit. So basically, if somebody wants another shipment of RAM, it's gonna be 3 to 6 months behind. Fuck. Now, on the bright side, at least Valve aren't stingy with what they're getting, since they replaced a Steam machine that was stolen. So yeah, that's the casual grand being replaced there by them. Now, what happened here? This happened to a person living in the UK, where the delivery man tried to place it in a designated safe location, but the package didn't fit. The courier left it on the ground and provided a delivery photo, but, well, after the delivery photo was taken, the package went missing. Now, I have no details of what exactly happened after the delivery photo was taken, nor do I care. That's for the police to figure out if they want to get involved in this. What I care about is what Steam support told the dude. They first told him, check with your neighbor for the package, and when that didn't produce any results, the mad lads over at Steam support just sent him another one. Yeah, no pitching and whining, no twisting into a pretzel trying to weasel out of, well, replacing or sending another replacement because this one was stolen. The mad lads just said, fuck it, here you go, another one's on the way. There is a reason why people on PC go with Steam, and you're seeing it firsthand. Now, sticking with Valve, a former writer, Chet Falizek, mentioned that Sony killing physical discs is no conspiracy because we made our choice and we chose digital. Now, as much as I want to say this guy is an idiot and he has no idea what he's talking about, he is correct. Yeah, I'll call a spade when I see one. Most people chose digital, even if we include the 2 data points from, you know, the Sony story. Now, the biggest problem with digital only is the fact that ownership is basically gone. You can only get a license to play the game, which is my main concern over Sony dumping discs. Well, as much as it pains me to say this, welcome to PC gaming. where this is borderline what's happening. The only outlier here is GOG, since they offer DRM-free installers, which, well, is basically the closest thing we get to online ownership without any laws being introduced. But let's end the Steam section on a better note. Let's call it like that. Since Steam support is in competition with the guys that manage the Steam store. Why am I saying that? Well, Valve dropped a new update that made gifting far easier. And I do mean far easier. Now, if you don't know someone's Steam account, but you know what email they used for creating the Steam account, you can gift a game via that email. And if the gift isn't claimed within 30 days, it will be automatically refunded. Now, downside of this is you have to live in the same country as the recipient, but that's what we call baby steps. Now, as if this wasn't enough, Valve rolled out cross-region gifting. So, instead of buying digital gift cards for your homie that lives in, I don't know, bumfuck nowhere, while you live in bumfuck nowhere number 2, you can now directly gift them a game. The gifter will be charged the regional price as well, meaning you no longer have to do math in your head trying to figure out, is this gonna be enough? Is the conversion rate the same? Is Valve's info up to date for the conversion rate? You just fire away and your friend in bumfuck nowhere gets the game. And because a win's a win, they also made it so you no longer have to be friends on Steam to send gifts, and you can create a wishlist link for the gifter to choose what game to get you, all without needing a Steam account. Now, you know what that means, right? You can go to your grandma and tell her, "Grandma, I want this game. Here's the link." And grandma is not gonna have to go outside, look for Steam gift cards. That is assuming she knows how to use mobile banking and whatnot. But old people are smart, so let's give them some credit here. Or, you know, that crazed uncle you have, is like that you have no idea what he's doing 90% of the time, but somehow manages to get you what you want when you want it. Anyways, I'm getting confused myself, so let's go back to the wish list. They also allowed you to customize that even more. You can now create categories, much like how you could with your Steam library, where you add a game on your wish list, you can directly add it to recent categories, and from there on out, move it to whatever category you created that fits that game, or something you want. For example, game looks cool, won't pay more than $10 for it though. You know, those types of things. So overall, a big win for people who don't know what to gift for someone for their birthday. At least that's how I see it. And in other news, Xbox says more exclusives are coming, but tells players not to overly fixate on single-player games. What the fuck are you, mate? The game police telling us what we can and can't do? How about I tell you where to shove that mindset of yours then? Let me guess, they're gonna be rolling out multiplayer microtransaction laden slop and keep the single player shit for Xbox and maybe Game Pass. Yeah, well, there ain't much to say about this, since the only thing they've promised so far is Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution, but this whole thing they said screams, play our live service titles and nothing more. Buy our microtransactions that aren't worth it. Xbox also had a service outage this week. Xbox posted on X they are aware of the errors people have connecting to Xbox services, and guess what? An hour later, the servers were fixed. Where they got to fix it? Speedy Gonzalez? Amazon could use that guy for sure. Now, sticking with Xbox for a bit more, there were people who couldn't access Halo Campaign Evolved. You know, the early access that's part of their premium upgrade. Yeah, they weren't able to access it. To give you some context on this whole situation, if you've bought the premium upgrade, you could play the game a few days earlier than other people. Now, what exactly happened? When people who bought the premium upgrade tried playing the game, they got the "you're too early" error message. Now, the weird part of all this is it only appears to affect players who bought the premium upgrade, not the premium edition. Now, they did fix this later on and give examples of what to do if the issue persists, but, well, repeat after me. Do not pre-order. This shit is the reason why you shouldn't. And at the very least, we got some good news regarding Xbox, because data miners discovered Xbox 360 support is hidden inside Microsoft's new PC emulator. Nintendo could never do this. And apparently, they're also bringing original Xbox exclusives to PC, starting with 4 games. And they are Blink's The Time Sweeper, Conquer Live and Reload, Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, and Fusion Frenzy. And in case anybody's curious about the games, here are the minimum system requirements. And in other news, Nintendo says it has no legal duty to pass its US tariff refunds on to consumers. No one was shocked about their statement. Nintendo asked the court to dismiss a proposed class action suit that was asking for tariff refunds from the company. Nintendo argued that the consumers received exactly what they bargained and paid for. The company wrote in a filing in the case, plaintiffs are not entitled to a rebate simply because of intervening legal departments related to tariffs. Yeah. We raised the prices to offset our losses by making it so that our customers lose more. And when the customers want the same relief that we got because of tariffs, we're gonna shaft the customer. It's precisely why shit like this makes me not like Nintendo. But it's not just bad news. As long as you're not Nintendo, that is. The Nintendo patent tied to the Palworld lawsuit that the JPO rejected stays rejected! Yay! Why it stays rejected? Well, the JPO shut down the objections raised by Nintendo. The best part of all of this is that people on X have been amused by the JPO and kept posting quotes from it. Now, one of the reasons why it was rejected, and get this, it's about as funny as it sounds, is because of a YouTube gameplay video from 2013 demonstrating a Pokemon fan game. A fan game? Shut down your patent! Oh, brother, you can't make this shit up. In the initial reasons for the rejection, the JPO cited gameplay mechanics showed in the video argue a lack of innovative step in Nintendo's patent application. They have an innovative step in any of their patents? Well, the Joy-Con drifting is innovating because, can't really make it that bad without special skills. But anyways, Nintendo's side argued that it's copyright infringement, but the JPO examiner shut down the mention of copyright infringement entirely because of domestic patent law. Whenever an invention infringes on copyright or not has no bearing on determining inventive steps. Man, days like these makes me want to go back to school, study law, because shit like this is funny as all hell. Now, just to point out how petty Nintendo were, they tried to argue that the video was just a video and that the examiner could not extract technical elements of the claimed invention from it. Yes, they argued that. Now, to quote the article, the examiner seems puzzled by what this argument is supposed to mean, summarizing that it is probably intended to imply one of two things. That Nintendo's side acknowledges that the video is genuine gameplay footage, but does not believe footage alone can disclose the technical features of a game program. or that Nintendo side is casting doubt about whether the video is gameplay footage at all, but perhaps merely an animated video to which narration has been added so as to make it appear as though the uploader were playing a game. The examiner promptly dismisses both arguments while noting that in the second scenario, the uploader's behavior will be way too preposterous. End quote. Nintendo. Instead of trying to compete with your competition, you try to kill them with legal legislations, and when those legal legislations fail, you throw a tantrum like a toddler. Start pointing at videos and continue throwing temper tantrums. All I'm gonna say is, Nintendo executives and lawyers, grow the fuck up. Start, listening to your customers instead of trying to stifle competition. And now for rapid fire news. Deceive Inc., a live server shooter game, is allowing community servers in its next update. Now, the reason why it's allowing community servers, well, it's a bittersweet thing. They gave the community something because they're shutting down. Instead of letting the game go with them, they are changing how the servers work and allowing players to host their own games. Because those guys are mad lads, by the looks of things, they're also trying to remove as many barriers as they can to make modding the game easier, but sadly, they are not gonna be able to provide a dedicated modding kit. Hey, they already did more to preserve the game than most studios in this day and age. So, 07 to pay respects to Decisive Inc. And now, for a shit show from my old stomping grounds. Blizzard is also on the menu today because they're investigating a WoW cheating scandal after Game Master Death touched pauses for friends without realizing it's being recorded. Now, for some context for the employed people out there and those who have not played WoW. It has a system called Mythic Plus. Beat a dungeon on a harder difficulty with modifiers to gradually increase the higher you go. As an example, if you do a Mythic 1, aka the first jump in difficulty, the mobs and bosses will have more HP and will be affected by modifiers the higher the difficulty. Obviously, the higher the difficulty you go, more health, more damage, more modifiers. At least those cap out at 3, so that's something at least. Now, the reason why this is a big deal is because Mythic Plus has a leaderboard in the form of Raider.io, where teams are ranked based on how high the key they did is and how fast it was done. And at the end of the season, because yes, there are seasons, you get 2 mounts, assuming you achieve the required rating in-game. So yeah, the higher the difficulty, the higher the mythic number, the more difficult it is. That's the gist of it. Without getting too technical about it, since there are other things there, but regardless, that's the main point of what Mythic Plus is. Anyway, with that out of the way, there are people who record those Mythic Plus runs and upload them as logs describing in detail what happened. The Reddit user Acrobatic Pianist 688 went through those logs and found a fight with a boss that had 16 million HP and only lasted 14 seconds. Yeah, as an ex-WoW player, I can tell you 16 million HP in 14 seconds on current content is fucking impossible. Bosses don't drop that easily. For 5 people to output 16 million HP in damage for 14 seconds, it should be almost impossible. Well, not should be, it's most likely impossible unless you bug something, or in this case, you have a GM with you who can instantly kill anything in sight. Like what you can see here. Now, the only 2 ways for this to happen is 1, if a GM interferes, or 2, by hacking. Which, in this case, it's not the latter. Now, the community manager, Kaivax, got wind of this Reddit post and confirmed there is an investigation going on and later posted on the forums that it was indeed an action of a Blizzard employee violating the code of conduct. The employee also got fired the moment the incident was found out, and actions have been taken against the players who were in violation. Now, for those Mythic Plus crazed people out there, Raider.io confirmed that this run would not count towards the rankings, so don't worry about it. Additionally, this week, a developer said generative AI should be called out in games and supports Valve's store mandate. This came from Brian Berge, the creator of the simulated MMO, and ensure, to quote him, gamers have the right to know how their games are made, and a right to choose what they're supporting. Steam's required AI disclosure is the right move here for the sake of transparency. He even speculated that games using or created with generative AI gain a foothold in the market and will result in passionate indie developers to surge in popularity again. Hey, I mean, if the indie developers are able to make something that's, well, not an asset flip or AI slop, yeah, I mean, I can see where the guy's coming from. It will be a great tool for them. Now, whether people willingly want to support something like this or not is their choice as well. Nobody should tell you how to use your money here. And yeah, that's rich this week coming from, the guy that told you don't pre-order. And now, for some questionable decisions from Square Enix. Final Fantasy XIV Mobile, that was available in China, ends on the 30th of September, and with that, the global release was cancelled. On the website, they say it's cause of adjustments in business operations and changes in the market environment. Now, I personally can point to two things here. Because one, mobile is gonna play like ass, especially if they don't use the new feature that's coming in the next expansion called Evolved Mode, which simplifies the number of buttons classes will have. And two, it wasn't built from the ground up with mobile in mind. Hell, the graphics on the mobile version weren't exactly what you call up to par with other mobile games, so yeah, I can see how that's gonna go to shit real quick. Now, my question is, what are they gonna do with all the assets they put up in the mobile version? Are they gonna roll them out to PC and consoles, or are they just gonna be like, oh yeah, let's not capitalize on already existing assets for our game, let's throw them away? I'm more interested in that. But for that, only time will tell. And in other news, this mad lad actually did it. You can now play Doom in Minecraft because of the new item they added to the so-called cushions in Minecraft. And yes, it is modded in the game. Still, quite impressive what you can do with the game. Even it is with mods, still, mad respect for the dude. He even confirmed it's running at normal speed. Now, for anyone curious about what the hell am I talking about with the so-called cushions, here's how it works for, well, the people who play Minecraft and for the people who have some sort of a technical know-how. And to wrap up the week, we got some good news. The Denuvo was removed from 007 First Light 2 months after the game launched, with the game being cracked in less than a month after the launch. I really hope this becomes a trend because I don't want that bloat of a DRM on my PC, even if it's properly integrated in the game. Well, people can dream now, can we? And on that note, that's all for this week's news segment. More next week on Old Man Rages at the News.